welcome to the Total ReTalkers. This is a new movie podcast where we'll be re-reviewing the oldest, not so much the newest, but some of our favourite movies of all time. We'll get into the nitty-grits of it all. I am joined by Andy, aka Electric Geek. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. It doesn't take me too much to get fired up to talk about Total Recall or anything Total Recall. I've done it already.
Yep.
Total Recall. So yeah, no, looking forward to it. Always excited to be on speaking with you guys. I've had a pretty kind of busy day, family stuff and that, so it's always nice to unwind at the end of it, chatting movies with you guys. Looking forward to it.
Man.
Yeah, man.
Badger, how the hell are you doing, my friend?
Oh, jiggy, baby, as always. Cool, just working on projects, same as usual. And I am looking forward to talking about this bad boy. The film that you also known as the film that you ruined, Ellis, with your name, because I make the mistake of saying your bloody name all the time whenever I'm trying to say the film. Total Movie Recall. I do it too.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys, up front. Blame the branding, not me. But yes, guys, we are here to talk about the seminal classic that is Total Recall. So this one is directed by the great Paul Verhoeven. It's based off a short story by Philip K. Dick, who was also known for Blade Runner and Minority Report. The book, the short story it's based off, is called We Can Remember It For You Wholesale. It was released on June 1st, 1990. The writer's screenplay is Ronald Shusett and Dan O'Bannon from Alien and Aliens fame. It had a budget of 50 to about 60 million, and it was an absolute box office smash for the studio. It gained over 261 worldwide. 261 million, worldwide. So this was like a major success for the studio, Carloco. So the production company, Carloco, we will sort of dive into their filmography a little bit. You'll recognize some of the films on their list. We've got Rambo trilogy. We've got Lock Up, starring Sylvester Stallone. Jacob's Ladder, which is an excellent film. The Doors, Universal Soldier, Basic Instinct, Cliffhanger, Stargate, Red Heat, Showgirls, and Cutthroat Island, which ended up sinking the company, unfortunately, starring Gina Davis. But one of their biggest films, their two biggest films starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of them was Total Recall. Can we guess what the other one was, boys?
RoboCop.
No. Andy, have you got any guesses?
I don't need to guess, mate. I'm assuming it was Terminator 2.
It absolutely was one of the biggest films of all time. But we wouldn't have had a Terminator 2 if it wasn't for Total Recall. So yeah, guys, Total Recall. Obviously, this is a film that I absolutely adore. I first remember watching this film as a wee young lad. So my mother, God bless her, she was A-OK with the 18 certificate back in the day when I was a child. I think it's because she was a single parent at the time. So it was like, I was saying this the other day on the group chat. I had to get through the likes of, Midsummer Murders, Frost, Morse, Taggart. I had to get through all that in an evening. But when it got to about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, that's when me and my mum would get on the couch and it was just time for an array of action movies, whether we're talking about Lethal Weapon, Predator, Terminator, but especially Total Recall was something I really enjoyed. I think I remember getting this on VHS. I'm a big physical media collector. As you can see in the background, VHS was my first form of physical media that I collected. And we had like an outdoor market situation where you could get like secondhand VHSs and whatnot. This was a VHS buy for me. So I remember watching this quite a lot when I was little. Didn't fully understand the plot, which we'll get into in a little bit later, because I actually think it's quite not a convoluted plot, but it is, it's not as basic as the likes of Predator, I find. I first remember watching it as a child. Andy, You must be old enough to have seen this in the cinema.
What the fuck?
I'm only joking.
No, I'm not that old, mate. Come on. So for any of you that are watching that on the YouTube, I don't look that old, do I? Come on.
Absolutely not. I'm only joking.
Just because I've got no hair on that beard doesn't make me kind of 100-year-old.
Yeah,
Mate, I cover my bald head up with a beanie, so it's just one of them. Do you know what I mean? That's what it's all about. But yeah, Andy.
No, at least I don't hide my baldness behind that beanie, mate. That's all.
All right.
Yeah, right there, right back at you.
That's not slandering aside. No, mate. You know, I was kind of sweating there because I was thinking, I don't actually have a great story of when I first watched this, so keep it short and sweet. But it's just one of those films. Like RoboCop was the one that I could tell you exactly where I was when I watched it. A kind of similar themed film, obviously directed by Paul Verhoeven, but we're not going to talk about that. But Total Recall was just one of those films that was around, that I grew up with inappropriately, and it's probably another reason as to why I've got an irrational fear of blood to this day, watching violent films when I shouldn't have been, because there's a hell of a lot of blood in this. It's Scrub City, it's Verhoeven. It was just Scrubs for days back in the late 80s, early 90s when it came to bullet hits and stuff. But yeah, it was one of those. For me, I probably watched it on VHS. My granddad had a big video collection, and it was my gran and grandpa. When I'd be over there to give my mum and dad a bit of respite in the weekend, they'd be on the old vodka and cokes. Things would start to get a bit loose. You know, it was like probably the kids' bedtime, but can't be asked putting them to bed. It's cool. They can just watch. They had Sky Movies, so early 90s, I would imagine Total Recall would have been probably on the nowadays equivalent of Sky Cinema, you know,
basically
Sky Movies. So I think that's probably when I first watched it, under the supervision, shall we say, of my gran and grandpa. They were well oiled on the old vodka. But the thing that I just remember about Total Recall, you know, from an early age, was obviously the end scene. No, we're not going to discuss that, but you know, that's the thing I always remember about Total Recall. It's the zany effects at the end when the eyes are popping out the head, and I remember seeing that as a young kid, though, just being absolutely horrified by it. And now I think, you know, I've got young kids of a similar age to probably what I was when I watched that film, and I just think, God, under no circumstance would I let my kids see that film and put them through those practical effects, you know. But it was a different time back then. But yeah, that's my memory of it, mate. Probably watching it early days with my grand grandpa, and you know, it was a bit of a Channel 5 favourite, I think.
Yes, yeah.
In the late 90s, one of those films just always on, and when it's on at night, you watch it. So fun memories.
What about you, Badger? When was the first time you laid witness to Total Recall?
I must have been about 8 years old, so it would have been in the late 90s. And yeah, it was certificate 18. My mother was fussed, but at the end of the day, I tell that bitch what to do, not the other way around. I started watching it. And yeah, it was good. My mother wasn't too fussed, really, because she had seen it plenty of times before, and she knew it was just a bit over the top. I had seen plenty of other disgusting films at the time, you know, like Terminator, you know, whatever, Die Hard, RoboCop, The Thing, and that type of thing, Alien, Predator. So, of course, like, hey, you can take this. And I could. I watched it. It was quite grim, but I managed it. The thing that bothered me the most when I was a kid was seeing that poor guy just get randomly impaled in the face with that big paw. I was like, that was what got me. It wasn't the eyes. But yeah, either way, I thought it was great because back then Arnie was my hero in a big way. Just discovering his movies for the first time back then. I loved it all. It was great. So that was, yeah, when I started watching, I was like, I have to, it's Arnie. Watched it. I was like, yeah, it's another great movie by him. Did not understand the plot to save my ass, but doesn't matter. The action was fantastic, looked great. Story was also, it's just wonderful. And I still think it's one of his better performances. Definitely. I really do. I think he suited the role surprisingly well, considering that he was just fresh off of Commando and that type of thing. I think he was breaking out proper around the time this came out, hence Kindergarten Cop and all that. But hell yeah, man, it's just badass. So yeah, I love this movie. No, I'm not as much of a fan of it as you guys are. I don't consider it a big masterpiece or anything like that, but I do love it. I think it's a wonderful film.
Yeah, well, I think that's quite a good segue into the lead star of this film, Arnie. We were all super huge fans of Arnie here, no doubt. Arnie, who plays Douglas Quaid Hauser. So I just think this is Arnie at the height of his powers. So we're sort of at like the tail end of the 80s here. And just listen to the filmography of Arnie predating this film. So we start off with both the Conan films starting in 82. Then we've got The Terminator in 84, Red Sonja, which was a bit of a spin-off from Conan. Then we get Commando in 85. So we're really at sort of peak levels of Arnie's really coming into his own here. Then we get Raw Deal. And we get my second favorite film of all time, Predator. And we get into Running Man, Red Heat, Twins veers off to a little bit of comedy there. But then we get Total Recall in 1990, and just after that, Kindergarten Cop. And in 91, we get Terminator 2. So this is really like sort of not at the tail end, but we're dealing with an absolute megastar here. His filmography in the 80s and 90s is nothing short of special. And if I'm being honest, I do think this is one of his most interesting roles, not because of his performance, but because of the movie he's in. I think this is one of the more profound, clever movies that Arnold's been in throughout his career, to be honest. I think the story justifies it. And what blows my mind a little bit about this film is that Arnold was circling this film for a long, long time. He wanted to star in this film. And the reason he knew about it, there was over 40 drafts of the script that was rejigged over the years. This was about in Hollywood for a long time. But the reason why they never went for it with Arnold is because they didn't think he suited the Douglas Quaid character. So I think originally the Douglas Quaid character was to look a little bit more slim, a little bit more worn down, not this big buff guy. So they rejigged the story a little bit. But guys, what did you think about Arnold in this film in particular, and just his sort of filmography around this time? The guy was an absolute megastar. Andy, what did you think about Arnie in the film?
I don't think it's the same film without him. You could probably say that about any film that Arnie's in right enough, because he's such a big presence. Like, Arnie's one of a kind, you know. Like, there's comparisons been made over certainly recently to like The Rock, Dwayne Johnson and stuff, but we talked about this before off camera. Like, what lasting legacy has The Rock left in Hollywood? Yeah, his origin story, what he did in the WWF, WWE, is commendable. But what films will really be remembered as like kind of pillars of cinema history, cinema culture, in comparison to like the filmography you've just listed off there from Arnie. So Arnie's one of a kind in that regard, and that like. Is Arnie the greatest actor of all time? No way is he.
Bullshit.
You know, but you've got to. He is talented. He has this raw charisma, Arnie, and screen presence. He has a unique physique, especially for the time. It was a very unique physique. He speaks with an Austrian accent. I mean, what, like in Hollywood, like it's just crazy. Like the fact that he speaks like that, but that makes him, I mean, really imitable. Like, he's easily parried nowadays, and people obviously impersonate his voice. But there's just no one else that has those traits. The unique accent. He's got good comedic timing. He can deliver a one-liner, no bother. I mean, you don't ask him to do anything nuanced, but the odd thing. He's got good comedic timing, but he can play it straight-laced and serious as well. So yeah, I think that blend, that Verhoeven basically making American Hollywood blockbusters from a European's perspective, is unique in itself and a bit off kilter. So Arnie's off kilter as a leading man. So yeah, it's the perfect partnership for that.
Their personalities matched. Definitely. Yeah. They were definitely at that level.
Yeah, they're both similar in that regard, that Verhoeven had been making films in Europe and had made that awkward transition to American filmmaking. He'd had a hit with RoboCop. He would go on to have a hit with Basic Instinct, and I think that's what's so unique. The main through line with Verhoeven is that he's great with satire, and he's great at looking at America and its kind of flaws, if you like, and poking fun at them from the perspective of a European. So, like, who better to put in your movie as a leading man than another European who has also somehow found his way into like Hollywood mainstream? You know, so
Good
like,
point. Good point.
I think whether that was a conscious thing or not, it's probably just one of those happy coincidences. But I think it really does lend itself to the kind of tone of the movie. But yeah, I think Arnie is great in it. Like the one-liners, my favourite one's probably got to be "Consider this a divorce." I just think that's so well done. Like,
Sweetheart, we're married.
Consider that a divorce.
when and Shannon Stone's brilliant. But I know you asked me about Arnie, but yeah, consider this a divorce. I don't know what your guy's favourite line is in a movie.
I like his little ones where he just comes out,
one.
Bullshit. Like, just it's so matter of fact. Like,
Not even lines. It's just that Arnie makes them a line with his like pronunciation and stuff.
My favorite line is where he looks at Sarah Connor and says, "Come with me if you want to live." That's fucking awesome. Sorry. No, my favorite one is where he said "screw you" and stuff.
Yes, yeah, that's awesome.
Screw you.
when he's killing Benny, yeah.
Benny! Where the fuck are you? Screw you!
Benny deserved it, didn't he? Benny deserved it. Bloody more.
Oh, Benny's a little shit, man. Yeah.
Benny's a wanker. He's a wanker, but he fooled me. I really liked him, and then I've realized how fucking duplicitous that snake was. That bastard. Yeah.
Probably claiming benefits for those kids as well, non Benny.
Yeah.
He didn't have any.
Did he have 5 kids to feed though? Did he?
That is specific. That
Man,
is very
I got
specific.
5 kids to feed. Shut up, Benny. You got 5 arms. I don't know about 5 kids, bro. But yeah, Badger Arnold in Total Recall. Do we think this is one of his best performances? Do you think?
I guess so, yeah. Because what I like about it is that this is one of those few Arnie films where he does not have all the cards in his favor. Plenty of his movies, you know what I mean? He's overpowered, and it's fine because those movies are amazing. But he is often overpowered, and whenever I see him like be stripped to that power and he's lost, doesn't know what the hell to do, I find those performances a lot more gripping. For example, I know you agree with me on this, Ellis. I think End of Days is underrated as fuck. I love that movie. I think it's a great film. I love it. I think it's a combination of loads of great things. I think it's well done. Arnie, in my opinion, was bloody wonderful in it. Just how he was getting beaten up and hurt all the time, how miserable he was. And I find that unique in his performances when he has to do that type of thing. Total Recall was kind of that, because bear in mind, he was fresh off of doing stuff like, Commando, Running Man, whatever. He's really not. He's really scared throughout the whole thing. Even when he gets like more cocky toward the end, you can still sense that he's scared when fighting people and stuff. He gets more and more cocky, obviously, as time goes by, like when he uses the what the hell was that thing? That device that created a copy of him and stuff. And he like sneaks up on them. Yeah. So he definitely gets cocky a bit toward the end, but still, you can tell that this guy's always getting screwed up. He's not like what we see nowadays with The Rock or Jason Statham or something like that, where they're just always overpowered, barely get hurt.
I think he's vulnerable in this film.
Vulnerable. There you go. There you go. You nailed it better than me. Better word.
And I think that the reason for him being vulnerable is because he doesn't know who he is. It's like throughout the whole film, he's trying to figure that out, isn't he? So, like you say, we never ever really see Arnold in that vulnerable position. So when he's being made, like forced into that section, we get something different out of Arnold. And, I think that's why another reason this film has sort of stood the test of time, in my opinion. But,
Andy, what were you saying now, Andy? You were going to say something.
I was just going to kind of commend you on that point, mate, because you're right about the vulnerability thing with Arnie, and that was probably the first movie where he portrayed someone who wasn't just a complete overt alpha male. He always looks like an alpha male because he's Mr. Universe, whatever it is, Mr. Olympia. But I think that's what makes him interesting when he does play it vulnerable, because it's such a contrast, because you're looking at this man mountain, but then he's also struggling, he doesn't believe in himself, or he's goofing things up, or he's making an ass of things. So then you're like, it makes him strangely relatable. Because you're like, all right, he's big and muscly, but he's just like the rest of us, and like, he's insecure about this, or he doesn't know how to handle this, or whatever. So, and probably Predator was that's what made Predator quite interesting, because he is a total alpha male. He's like Dutch, but it's only at the end when he because up until that movie, there isn't any other male match for Arnie, because at the time he was Mr. Olympia, right? But then all of a sudden they put him up against like a 7-foot tall Predator, and the Predator beats the shit out of him at the end. Or he spoiler alert, but he beats it in the end, but only through having to outthink it. Like it strips him of his masculine superiority.
Yeah,
but you get that right from the off with this film, so it's quite refreshing, because he doesn't really know who he is, doesn't believe in himself, and he's on that's his journey, is like the kind of the rediscovery of his true self, and by the end he's a bit more, like you say, cocky and a bit more charismatic, because he's kind of readorned the secret agent that he actually is, kind of thing. So
yeah, I totally agree with that. I just want to say, sorry, dead quick.
No,
I have seen a number of later performances by him where he is a lot more vulnerable, not just with action. I just mean that in performances. And even though I don't particularly adore those movies, I actually do think he's pretty wonderful in them. He did a drama called Aftermath that I thought was it's okay, but his performance in it was wonderful. Straight drama, and I thought he was good in it. The same for Maggie, a zombie film where I didn't love it, but I thought his performance in it was goddamn lovely. He's crying in that film. And also in Escape Plan with the Sly Stallone, he does have that wonderful part where he's speaking in his native tongue. And his performance was bloody wonderful when he's pretending to lose his mind.
Kann das nicht mehr aushalten. Hey! Shut the fuck up, you European dog! Ich halte die jetzt nicht mehr aus. Ihr bringt mich um.
This guy can act. They just haven't given him enough opportunities to do so. But he can do it. When he's being more vulnerable, being like losing his mind and stuff, he really can do it. He can. It's just that he hasn't had too many opportunities. Thankfully, Total Recall was one of those ones that kind of did. I think it was one of the first ones. And that's absolutely one of the things that stands out the most to me. Me being Mr. Grounded, loving the grounded, nuanced stuff a lot more. That's what stood out. That was what stood out to me more than the epic Mars stuff. It just is. I think it's bloody wonderful. And really well done. Really well done.
Yeah, man. We'll get through some of the other cast members here. We've got Sharon Stone as Laurie Quaid. This was a coming out party for Sharon Stone, basically.
Not that kind of coming out party.
Not that.
The other one.
Yeah, the other one. But I don't think she'd done that much at all prior to Total Recall. So, 1990 was sort of the birth of her career and whatnot, and she obviously did another film with Paul Verhoeven, which was Basic Instinct, which is probably Sharon Stone's most famous film of her entire career.
It really hasn't.
Yeah, it's quite funny that she refused to do Showgirls. Paul Verhoeven asked her to do Showgirls, and she was like, "No, that's way too much nudity and stuff in Showgirls." But does Basic Instincts? It's a bit, okay, can't work that one out. But I think Sharon Stone's really good in this for the amount of screen time she has in it. It's not an awful lot. But what I do like is that there's our other female lead in this film, Rachel Ticotin, I think it is, who plays Melina, who is Arnie's love interest for the later back half of this film. But Sharon Stone and Rachel Ticotin, who plays Melina, have this awesome girl on girl fight. It's it's brilliant, but it's well done. The choreography and stuff in that particular section is good. I think it's good that it's just not this fully masculine sort of heavy fighty film, that we do have that section in there. But Sharon Stone in this film as Laurie Quaid has to play sort of double-sided a little bit. She's a bit two-faced when it comes to Arnie's character Quaid. But yeah, I thought Sharon Stone was pretty good in the film. Andy, have we got many thoughts on Sharon Stone? Don't just talk about
I think she
Sharon
really adds
Stone.
to it. Yeah, I think she really adds to it. She definitely does, and it's clear to see, watching that she would go on to do well, because she does have that kind of screen presence. She plays kind of sinister quite well. Kind of, she's got sharpness to her, Sharon Stone. She's more suited as a tech villain type than your kind of damsel in distress. and watching it back, maybe viewers of this back in the day who didn't know Sharon Stone, the twist would have been more effective. But I think anyone going back to watch this will smell that Sharon Stone's a villain straight from the up, just because she's played the Basic Instinct character. She's been typecast as that kind of, usually the conniving, kind of hard-nosed femme fatale type thing. She makes it coming. Whereas in the, I can't believe I'm talking about the remake already. In the remake, which I don't really like, Kate Beckinsale is not as good as Sharon Stone.
No.
Right? But Kate Beckinsale up until that point had mainly played kind of heroine type roles, or like sweet leading ladies.
Yeah.
So when she goes full psycho bitch in the remake, it's a wee bit more of a shock. I think it's a wee bit more. Whereas Sharon Stone's, I think you see coming a mile away. But that doesn't mean to say that it's not satisfying and she's good at it. Like you hate her instantly the minute, if you know what I mean. And that's what she's there for.
I think to give her some credit, if we saw this in the cinema in 1990, we maybe wouldn't have known. I think it's because, like you say, we're so, preconceived now notions of Sharon Stone being a villain in, like, the seminal classic 2004 Catwoman with Halle Berry.
Was she in that, was she?
Yes, she was. Yeah. I remember that one. But yeah, like you say, because we've now seen the likes of Basic Instinct and whatnot, like you go back and watch Total Recall, like you said, and you're like, oh yeah, sniff it off a mile off. Like, doesn't mean she's not good though. Thoughts on Sharon Stone, Badger? Have we got any?
I don't have many thoughts at all. And it's not because I have any issues or whatever. It's just because I haven't seen too much with her in. I did think she was well suited in this role. I've kind of seen Basic Instinct, kind of. I saw it. I've heard it's great. Isn't it out on 4K? It was had a big release out on 4K a couple of years ago.
Canal brought it out on 4K a few years ago. Yeah, there was a box set and stuff.
Okay, awesome. So I know little bits, but the main one that stood out to me was the film that she was in, where she barely had any screen time at all. It's in a movie called Alpha Dog from 2006. I bloody love that film. I adore it. It's one of my favorite films, probably. I love it.
Is that Justin Timberlake in that one?
Yes, sir. That's right.
Willis, yeah.
Bruce Willis is briefly in it too. But she gets a really quick part in it, and because she's wearing like so much like prosthetics and shit to make her look different, I didn't know it was her. When I found out after, I was like, Jesus Christ, it's a very vulnerable performance, very tragic, traumatized. It's heartbreaking to watch. Our mother going through loss, it's hard. But yeah, she is bloody wonderful. It's just I haven't seen too much that she's done. But yeah, in this film, she is wonderful. Go on.
She definitely adds to this film.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely, yeah, no debate. I don't have too many thoughts, just wonderful stuff. Wouldn't recast her. She does add a lot to it. She deceives you, unless you've seen Basic Instinct and stuff. So yeah.
Fun fact on Sharon Stone that's kind of in relation to this movie. Sharon Stone appears as her character from Basic Instinct in Last Action Hero.
Yeah.
Blinking you'll miss a cameo. She was very reluctant to do it and initially said she wasn't interested in reprising the role even for a cameo. But apparently Arnold Schwarzenegger then kind of like politely reminded her that, by the way, do you remember Total Recall? Like, I kind of got you in the door at Kurt Loco, which then landed you Basic Instinct, which has now made you the superstar you are. So cut me some slack here. Like, wings on neck in and jump and be in my film for like a few minutes. So apparently, and she did.
Who wouldn't want to be in Last Action Hero anyway?
Everyone can get stuffed. Everyone can get stuffed. That film's badass.
Yeah,
if you believe IMDb, that's what happened.
That's a mic drop.
Future spoilers. That film will definitely be getting covered on this new series. But guys, let's talk about two gentlemen here that I know you guys are definite fans of. We'll start off with good old Ronnie Cox as Cohagen. So, Ronnie Cox as Cohagen. Andy, would you say this is more, when you think of Ronnie Cox, do you think of Dick Jones from RoboCop, or do you think of Cohagen? What is the first thing that you think of when this actor comes to your head?
Dick Jones, all day long. I couldn't even have told you. I watched it the other week and I've seen Total Recall a few times. I couldn't even remember what. Until it was said in the film, I didn't know what these characters' name was. In fact, even when he popped up, I was kind of like, I didn't really I forgot he was in this, but it makes sense because it's Verhoeven. And he's playing a very similar character to Dick Jones. Like, Dick Jones is more fleshed out, has better lines. You know, he's not even the main villain, I would say. Like, he is kind of the main villain, but I would say that Michael Ironside kind of steals it more. He's like the corporate bad behind it, but Michael Ironside is like Arnie's adversary throughout the film kind of thing.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair, definitely. Like, to me, I always see Richter, Michael. We may as well talk about them both. Michael Ironside. Is it Splinter Cell himself? Does he play Sam Fisher? Does he voice him? Yeah.
Oh yes,
he did. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yes, he fucking does.
I think these two as a pair, great. To be fair, I think you know, like Cohaagen is the big sort of corporate bad, should we say, and Michael Ironside as Richter is sort of lackey. You know, is first in command. I think that's a great pairing. You see later on in Total Recall, later on in the film, well, throughout the film, that Richter's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder when it comes to Cohaagen. He's not his biggest fan in the world. I think if he had a few hours with Cohaagen, I think Michael Ironside's character would probably off this guy at some point. Do you know what I mean? And think, you know what, I'm taking over this company. But yeah, I think both amazing in the film. I think, to be fair, Michael Ironside has got the more memorable scenes throughout this movie. But yeah, I think they're both brilliant. Badger, Michael Ironside as Richter. Welcome to the see you at the party, Richter.
See you at the party, Richter.
What do we think of Michael Ironside?
Bad fucking ass. That's what I think about him. That guy was fucking born to be like a villain. Do you know what I mean? I've seen him play plenty of roles where he's not a villain, but still, he's just got the face for it and his voice as well. Jesus Christ, that guy's menacing. And obviously, because he was a lot younger here, he was more physically able. So this guy chasing after him and shit. Usually, when you see the size difference, you wouldn't be intimidated by Michael Ironside compared to Arnie. You'd think that no, Arnie's the more dangerous one. But again, due to the vulnerability aspect, nope. This guy makes me nervous, man. Yeah, the whole desperate greed his nature when he's just chasing after him and shit, trying to kill him, and he kills some rats, which pissed me off because I love animals. That when he shoots them and shit. So yeah, he's just made for it, and I love this guy. He was awesome in The Machinist too for the little bit he was in. Same with Terminator Salvation, and Jesus Christ, him as fucking Splinter Cell. Like, whoa, man, Sam Fisher, badass. When I saw Sam Fisher get a cameo in Ghost Recon Wildlands, I was like, that's the voice, that's the voice, that's the voice. I love this guy. And I think he's wonderful in this too. It's great. I love it.
Michael Ironside's definitely had to be doing some squats in the gym and some treadmill running and stuff, because in this film, there's a lot of chasing. There's a lot of running about in this film throughout the entire thing. I mean, as soon as, Arnie goes to recall, and, ends up sort of getting the implant, maybe he's not. From then on, there's a 20-minute chase scene throughout. It was Mexico where they filmed most of this film, actually. There was a load of trouble they had on set when they were in Mexico with apparently food and stuff like that. It was only Arnold that didn't get sick because he brought his own chef over. But, yeah. But the reasoning for filming in Mexico wasn't just they wanted to take use of the landscape, the structural landscape of Mexico. It's got a brutalism, they call it, the concrete and stuff like that. So after that recall bit and we get into that chase scene, they're in the metro subway and stuff like that. That isn't a set, that's an actual place in Mexico that was built. So that was pretty cool. Favorite scenes from this movie? Have we got any favorite scenes of the film? Andy, do you want to start us off first? Because I think chronologically, your favorite scene from this film is the first one.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's got a few standout scenes in this film. There's a lot of good set pieces, action set pieces. But the one I've always watched back a lot and I just enjoy because it's just kind of classic Verhoeven. There's like is that sequence in the train station when he kind of goes on the run. What does he break out of recall? Why is he on the run at that point? Is it because has Sharon Stone tried to kill him at that point?
No. So that's just after he breaks out of recall. He goes to recall to get the implant because So he's wanting to go to have recall is this place where they'll implant memories to make you think that you're whatever, you know what I mean, or made you think that you went to Mars, went to Venus, whatever. He goes to get this
holiday in your head, kind of
thing.
Yeah,
absolutely, a memory implant. One of the the biggest themes of this film is dealing with memory, of course, and just before they're about to inject him with this memory recall, that's where he sort of snaps out of his current sort of memory that he's currently in. But yeah, this scene's brilliant. Andy, take it away.
Yeah, so he kind of like has obviously whatever happens, they're trying to. I think they say he's already had some kind of implant.
Listen to me. He has been going on and on about Mars. He has really been there.
Use your head, you dumb bitch. He's just acting out the secret agent portion of his ego trip.
I'm afraid that's not possible.
Why not?
Because we haven't implanted it yet.
That's why when they tried to do it for him, it backfires and he kind of freaks out and he runs away, and then obviously he's part of some conspiracy, so that the kind of goons, the corporate goons, track him down. He doesn't know who he is at that point. He thinks he's a construction worker.
Yeah.
There's a chase through the subway. There's a shootout. He uses like a human shield, and much like the scene in RoboCop where the guy, Ed 209, blows that guy up. There's a similar scene where he's using this human shield, but the guy takes about 30,000 rounds. And
someone get a medic!
Yeah, there's blood and scripts going everywhere. So that is kind of a bit of a trademark of Verhoeven. So you get that kind of director trademark in there, and then eventually they corner him, and then it's now turned into kind of social media, very viral, popular reel. The whole kind of what the fuck did I do wrong? And he's getting like, it's an absolutely great line. I think it's just the way Arnie says it, and it gets used for so many things there on Instagram and TikTok.
That drink! What the hell is going on? What the fuck did I do wrong?
Great. It was great in its original form. It was even better that it's now lived on in this like in 2024
afterlife of memes.
Yeah, it's got an afterlife of memes and stuff. Just as the gift that keeps on giving. Anyway, he gets dragged out, says that brilliant line, and he's in the way only Arnie could deliver it. And then we have a Jason Bourne type moment where he kind of like, he's instinct, he's fight or flight kicks in, and it's fight because ultimately he's a trained agent. He doesn't know that yet, so it kicks in. He quite brutally takes apart the guys, shoots them, and then we get a lovely wide shot where just as the last guy's kind of falling to the ground, there's a wide shot of the carnage that he's kind of caused. There's blood up the wall. There's Arnie standing there, with his physique, and you've just got these bodies everywhere. And it's at that point that you're like, right, okay, this film's started now. It's kind of like, all right, okay, here we go. This is like, that's the end of Act 1. Here we go. Like, Arnie's got some skill. Douglas Quaid's got some skills. There's more to this guy, and then we kind of go on the journey thereafter. So lots of great scenes in Total Recall, but I just enjoy that one for the kind of action and that reveal moment of like, oh wait a minute,
you are right. Totally.
Not all we thought he was.
Absolutely, it's a great scene, and I tell you what, it's a great looking scene as well. So when I was rewatching it the other day, Verhoeven, like I love him for so many reasons, but like visual sort of camera shots and stuff isn't maybe one of them reasons. But when you watch that fight scene, it's very symmetrical when you watch it, and when at the end of the carnage and stuff like that, it's just almost very Stanley Kubrick in a way. Do you know what I mean? Where everything's sort of straight, the wide angle, the lines are all symmetrical. Really, really good scene. And you are 100% right there, Andy. As soon as that stuff does happen, we are liftoff, baby. We are going. The film has took off by that point, and that's when we get into a massive chase scene. But yeah, great scene. I'll throw two in there. I'll throw two out there. So my first little one is where just shortly after that scene, he goes back to a hotel. He gets a message from one of the freedom fighters or whatever it is. No, it's basically when his alter ego Hauser is known someone, and he gets that message through the screen, like the digital screen, which is foreshadowing some good future technology of iPads and whatnot for later on in life. Just want to mention that. But yeah, he's got that tea towel wrapped around his head. He's got the suitcase. He ends up having that conversation with Hauser, who's his former self. And he's like, yeah, there's an implant in your head and you've got to take it out, my friend. He's like, okay. Pulls out this big, gnarly mechanism that's like, the ultimate bogey picker machine, if you will. Sticks this thing up his noggin. And this whole scene is like very much like the practical effects here are on show because it's obviously not Arnold here. They've made like a sculpture of Arnold. And it sort of reminds me back to the first Terminator film, where he's in the mirror and there's that sort of, it's not Arnold. They've made like a makeup of him. Sort of like a good reflection, but we're like nearly, what are we? When was the first Terminator, guys? 84?
84, yeah, it's just had its 40th year anniversary.
Yeah, so we're like 6 years on from there. And I just think the effects that have, for that sort of similar situation have come on leaps and bounds. And I just want to mention while I'm here and while I'm talking about effects, the guy who did the effects, I just want to get his name, Rob Bottin. He won the Oscar that year for visual effects. So this film has got some prestige in it. It's not just, blood and gore, like your sort of average Arnie film of the 80s. It's got some stuff behind it. It won some gold. But my other one is obviously his introduction to Quato. So this is bloody brilliant. So the guy turns around, he's one of the freedom fighters on Mars. They colonized Mars, rips his shirt open. Quaid, open your mind. Yeah, and this guy's supposed to be like a good guy. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, Cohagen is he's basically keeping a lot of the oxygen from Mars and stuff like that. So it's produced a lot of mutants there. So we get introduced to Quato. He's like head of the freak show over there. But I really like this bit where he's like a telepathic. He can read people's minds and stuff. So Quaid sat in front of him. He's like, open your mind, Quaid.
Now open your mind to me.
And then we get the visual of, so we've seen throughout the film that there's like this giant mountain in Mars. And it's basically, this is a reactor that some aliens on Mars that were once there have built. And at this point, we don't really know what this reactor does, what it's supposed to do. Cohagen's convinced everyone if this reactor was to be switched on, it would kill the entire planet. Unbeknown to them at the time, this is not. This will produce air to the planet, clean air to the planet. So I just really love that reveal because yet again, we've got Quato who we're seeing these like unreal practical effects. It took 15 people to puppeteer Quato, actually. I think that's worth mentioning. But then we see inside the mountain, we see the reactor, this giant sort of landscape that's in there, this huge reactor. It's awesome. They obviously built that with miniatures. And they had to flip the miniature upside down to film it as well. So it's quite interesting when you go behind the scenes and whatnot. But again, one person who we have not mentioned thus far, and we have to, because there's a bit of score that comes in this particular scene. Jerry Goldsmith, guys, the score to Total Recall. One of my favorite scores, maybe of all time. The most iconic track on the listing is The Dream. I think the score is amazing. I know we haven't mentioned it. Badger, we'll get to some of your favorite scenes in a minute, but I just want to know your quick thoughts on the score, guys. I should have mentioned it way up top, but this wouldn't be a podcast about Total Recall with not mentioning Jerry Goldsmith. The score, Andy, what do you think of the score?
Yeah, it's really good. Like, I'm trying to actually remember it in my mind. I'm drawing a complete blank, but I do remember it does have a very much a theme. Like
it's awesome with the opening credits.
If you played it just now, I would be like, yeah, that's the Total Movie Recall theme. Do you know what I mean? But it's escaping me right at this moment. But it definitely adds to it. It's another one of these films. It's the sum of its parts. It's a lot going for it, and like the makeup department, the star power, the director, as you said, Jerry Goldsmith doing the score, you know, so there's a lot of talent involved in it, which doesn't surprise me as to why it stood the test of time, and it's, you know, it's been remade and it's seen as a bit of a classic. It's definitely one of Arnie's stronger, better films, I would suggest. But yeah, I don't have much to say on it, mate.
I had to get it in there.
Other than no, you're right to bring it up because it does. It is that kind of that extra character in the film. So.
It goes with that scene that I'm on about, is where we get the reveal of the reactor inside the mountain on Mars, like, because it's all fronted by the score. The score is so at the forefront of that particular scene, and one of the main reasons why I love that scene. It's a standout for me. But Badger, any particular scenes in this movie that you liked or stick out to you?
Yeah, the Johnny Cab, baby.
Oh yeah, baby, Johnny Cab.
When I was a kid, man, he creeped me out. He just did. He creeped me out. It was like, I know you're friendly, but you ain't fucking fooling me, man. I've seen.
I don't take him to bed. He sits on my bed.
Oh, you lying bastard, Ellis! I know.
All right. Wipe his mouth before this.
Oh,
bringing this podcast down, Ellis. What are you doing? Sorry.
Yeah, anyway.
It's good though, and it's like you say, you should talk about the technology, like how much it's how much of it's kind of relevant. It's very crude, but it's sorry, Badger, but it's kind of went the way it's went.
It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, the other one. Well, speaking of like Rob Bottin and all that, the effects is the other stuff is the scenes with all the effects and stuff. Body horror.
Yes.
Even though I'm not usually like a gore hound or anything like that, I just find loads of the scenes impressive. Like when that scene where the woman just starts going bonkers and no one knows what's going on. And of course, it turns out it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. This was before Junior as well, obviously, before
2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's what she's saying. I love it. Yeah, that's great. Where they're in there. Where is it? Where is it? That sort of, what is it? What would you call it? Like where you get searched for stuff. What is that? Before you're in an airport and it's like the there's a name for it. There's a proper name.
Yeah,
for
there
it.
is. Oh bloody hell, drawing a blank myself.
Sorry, Badger. I'm totally.
No, you beat me too, actually, because I was going to say, but that type of thing does impress me. But I guess my favorite scene from when I was a kid was that scene where the skeletons, you know, whether it's the X-ray or whatever, where they're inspecting the weapons and Arnold Schwarzenegger has to jump through. That was it. Yeah, but I can't remember the name of all that type of thing. Yeah, what is it? That inspector, the metal detectors, or whatever it was. I don't know.
Just like security, like airport security kind of thing, customs or
customs. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, customs. There we go. Customs, the room, the area. Yeah, bloody hell, Christ's sake. Go on.
Do you think it's right? Like, see, I'm looking at it on IMDb just now, right? And the genres that has listed against it are cyberpunk, one person, army action, space sci-fi, action adventure, and sci-fi, right? But I think comedy's missing because it's a very funny film.
Oh yeah,
it is. Yeah.
I think you could describe it as somewhat of a sci-fi comedy.
Maybe it's unintentionally, but you are definitely right. There's definitely some
zany as shit, and all the sexual comedy and stuff that's through.
Yeah,
it's true. Absolutely.
Maybe I suppose it's more just that verhoeven tone, like he does have that.
That's it, man. I think that's what it is. That's what it is, Andy.
Yeah. When you're seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger scream "screw you" and then kill someone with a giant drill, like how is that not hilarious? You know what I mean? You can't tell me. You can't tell me that's serious. You know what I mean?
It's like the women with the three boobs and stuff and all that. You know, it's just comedy gold. The lanes there, isn't it?
I was gonna say, Andy, you brought it up earlier on, and we were on about doing a section on these podcasts where we do director's cut. So like our director's cut. Is there anything you would have wanted to seen added to this film or took away from this film? Is there any extra bits that you think could have been expanded on in a director's cut, or anything that could have been took away? Andy, what are your thoughts on this one?
Director's taking things away. I think the only bit of wasted potential is perhaps with the Philip K. Dick IP, if you like. Now, I've not read it, I don't know, but I know that a lot of Philip K. Dick's books, when they've been adapted, faithful. I don't think they take the basic concept and then like you say, this went through 40 scripts or something like that, as you said, Ellis. But I think that Philip K. Dick was also a fantastic sci-fi writer who was underappreciated at the time, but posthumously has been recognised as being a pioneer in literature for sci-fi. But I think it's a good theme that's not expanded on. Like, see the theme to Total Movie Recall, the whole idea of like,
we got to get a checker. We got to get a checker. We keep saying Total Movie Recall, and I've done it too.
Like,
we got to get like
one more and I disappear. One more and I'm on Mars. My fucking eyes.
We need to get a counter, like in the section or whatever, in the side, just to say whenever someone does it. But anyway, yeah, sorry, Andy, go on.
It's maybe more of a mild criticism as opposed to a director's cut, but there is one scene I think bizarre that I think we could do without. But I just think I can imagine A24 in another life in the future taking the concept of Total Movie Recall, maybe ditching I've done it 3 times. I'm out, mate. Sorry, strike. Taking the concept of Total Recall. So the we can remember it for you wholesale. Say they just called it that, and they delved more into the themes of that. The ideas of memory versus reality, with what is, what are the differences between actually doing something for real and actually just thinking you've done it for real? Is there a difference? Is it the same thing? You could wrap AI into it and all that. I think so. This movie takes a great concept and it's kind of wasted almost. It's just a kind of narrative mechanism for the kind of action romp that he then goes on. It doesn't really delve into the themes, but then that's okay. Like I don't think it's good. It's good just as what it is. But if you're talking about scenes that I think are a bit weird, watching it again, like I say, I used to catch this film on TV all the time, so chances are you've missed the first 10, 15 minutes. I forgot that there's a scene right at the beginning, the very opening scene. Am I right in saying it's 2 astronauts on what appears to be Mars?
Yeah.
And am I right in saying that it's Arnie and Melina?
Yeah.
And they're in spacesuits. Mm-hmm. One falls over for whatever reason. I can't remember if it's Arnie or Melina. Falls over, rolls down the hill, cracks the spacesuit, and then starts getting the boggly eyes. Right. So it's a precursor maybe to what will happen if you're out in Mars, how treacherous Mars is, its atmosphere and stuff, right? But it doesn't fit in with the rest of the film because it's like that doesn't actually happen, right? Like because obviously that never happened where Arnie then dies as a result, like of that. It doesn't really. And it kind of like gives you it already gives you a step for a hint of what's to come. Whereas they could just have cut that scene all together and left it as more of a. You'll find all that out later on. I think that was weirdly placed and is never referred to again. Really?
No, and I think you are. You know what? He's probably somewhat right. I don't know whether that's supposed to insinuate because he obviously wakes up when his eyes start popping out. I don't know whether that's to insinuate that that this guy was a different person, aka Hauser, at one point because Hauser is basically, we haven't mentioned this, but like Douglas Quaid is Hauser, that is who he is.
Yeah, that's his real personality.
That's his real personality because there's a scene later on in this film with Cohagen where he's talking to Michael Ironside and he's like, right, what should we do about Quaid? And Cohagen's like, kill him. Do you know what I mean? And Michael Ironside's like, it's about goddamn time. But you can see after that Cohagen's genuinely disappointed with that decision because he is friends with Hauser. Hauser was an agent for Cohagen. He was supposed to infiltrate the mutants. He was supposed to find out where Quattle was, the leader. Do you know what I mean? But to go back on your point there with the eyes popping out, I think that is such a good effect and good scene. And it's so shocking that when it happens later on in the film, when they turn the reactor on and they all get took out of the hill which has the reactor in, and they're all out on that Mars mountaintop, and Cohagen, that's how Cohagen dies in the film later on. His eyes do come out and they don't go back in like they do for Arnie and Melina. I think we could have just saved that for that section and it would have made a bigger impact at the end of the film than, like you say, having that be at the start of the film. What I would actually go with, right? Because I think what I would want to see for my director's cut, sort of, maybe it's not a scene where it's Melina and Arnie in them spacesuits, but maybe a flashback of Hauser at one point on a mission on Mars. Then he wakes up and he's Quaid. That is one of the things that I would want to see, because whenever we see Hauser throughout the film, it's on a screen. It's like on a screen. We never see Hauser in action or anything like that. I would have actually liked to see like a flashback of Hauser working with Cohagen, like on a mission, whatever. Maybe Hauser's killed some mutants. Do you know what I mean? Like earlier on in his life. Like there's a bit where Cohagen, he gets Melina and Quaid back into recall, gets him back there. And they're going to wipe his memory. So he's just Hauser again. And Annie's like, no, the guy's a fucking asshole. It's fucking, it's so good. But, yeah,
that was a pretty good impression, by the way.
I like that,
yeah, I thought that was pretty decent myself, if I don't understand. But yeah, I would have liked to seen some more of Hauser in proper form. And the other thing I would have liked to have seen in my director's cut is, so when they get to the reactor, you see like the mechanism to switch it on, and it's like a 3-fingered like alien. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to see them fucking aliens, man. I want to see what they look like. You know what I mean? You know, like at the start of The Fifth Element, where the ship comes down and you see like them big bulking alien sort of things. We get like a visual for that. I would have liked to have seen who these guys were, because they can't have been that bad. They must have been pretty sound. They made like an air oxygen reactor for Mars. So, you know, a couple of scenes of Arnie smoking some stogies with the aliens or whatever.
Because after dinner, everyone ought to have a cigar. So I tried it. Well, the rest is history. I'm still smoking stogies. I love it.
That's what I wanted to see, but
does Hauser ever have a stogie at any point? Does he?
Does he?
I think he does. Does Cohagen not say when he's describing to Quaid what Hauser was like? I think he says it's something like when he used to come over and he liked these cigars and stuff. It's obviously does he not say something like that?
Maybe you're right. I my brain went there to at the start of the film where he's with Harry and he's on like the construction site and he's working, but he definitely would not have been allowed a cigar on the. I think I'm getting mixed up with the Running Man there. You know, like the start of the Running Man when you say.
I think I've kind of, I've been thinking about that scene at the beginning, and I'm thinking maybe I'm solving the problem for the film here just by thinking about it. But I suppose if he has been Hauser, who unbeknown to Quaid has actually lived on Mars, been in the company of Melina, knows how treacherous it is, would Hauser, who's now Quaid, have a dream? If he was going to have a nightmare, it might be about the hostility of Mars. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get it.
Hauser might have a dream where, God, imagine I fell over and, like, it was exposed to Mars as that. Yeah. Like, so, like, Quaid is effectively having Hauser's bad dream because he is Hauser. But when he wakes up, he doesn't understand it because he's like, why am I dreaming about Mars?
Yeah.
Like,
good shout.
Yeah, to be fair, yeah.
I like that, to be fair.
Not bad.
I bet you if Paul Verhoeven was listening to this, he'd be like, you're absolutely right, Andy.
Yeah.
That's a terrible Paul Verhoeven. Paul Verhoeven accent.
What was yeah, by the way, you keep saying by the way.
The squibs.
More squibs.
More squibs. Yeah, Quaid being like Hauser, it hasn't been 100% confirmed if that was true or not. If it actually was a wood dream yet, though, or not. That's the thing. So we still don't know.
I was going to end I was going to tee us up for that question at the end. Was it all a dream? But, maybe we can get into that. Now, Badger, before we go there, do you have any director's cut thoughts of this? Anything you'd add? Sure. Anything you'd take away?
Absolutely none. Not because I might be able to think of something, but that's only if I see the film again. It's been about 2 years, 2-3 years since I last saw it. I had it on Blu-ray and I sold it about a few months back. Actually, it's simply because like no, there's a 4K out there that's going to be mine. So I got rid of it. Going to buy that soon, and that's it.
Just a sidetrack, the 4K is magnificent, I think.
I believe
Andy,
it.
Andy, you're more of a 4K connoisseur than me. That is, your channel is dedicated to physical media. What the 4K transfer? It's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice, mate. Yeah, it's got that kind of slightly larger aspect ratio, so it's like the 178 to 1 or something like that. 180 to 1, so it kind of takes up the entire screen, which just gives it that more of a it gives it that wee bit more of a wow factor when you watch it on a home TV because you don't have the black bars.
Yeah.
But but it's obviously shot in film back in the day. I don't have it in front of me, but I would imagine it'd be some like 35mm, maybe super 35. But it cleans up nice. Studio Canal are good at doing restorations.
Yeah.
It's them that have the license for it. So yeah, they've done a good job. It's a nice one. It's one that if you like the film, it's definitely worth getting on 4K for sure.
Just very quick, sorry, because I think Ellis will know this. Didn't Studio Canal do the 4K for Predator 2? I swear they did. Or have I messed that up?
Oh, I have no idea, Badger. I have no idea. I don't. Is that's a Fox? That is a Fox release.
I think they're 20th Century Fox titles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, bloody hell, of course, yeah, okay, of course. Because I swear I heard something like that. Like some of the team members had some type of involvement with it, but I don't know. I guess I'm wrong. I was gonna say because if that's the case, then I'll get it in a second. Because Predator 2 was astonishing, but yeah, damn, yeah, you're right.
I haven't got Predator 2 on 4K. I've only got it. I've only got it on I've only got it on Blu-ray. It's one of them. I know you can get it in the multi-pack, can't you? But I'm a stickler for them slip covers, man. So when we get a Predator 2 on 4K with a slip cover, I'll be all there. But anyway, guys. So 2 more questions for you before we dart out of here. As we alluded to earlier on, was it all a dream? In my eyes, because it does end with Melina and Quaid kissing, then it flashes to white, doesn't it? So Paul Verhoeven, our mate Paulie Verhoeven is leaving it to maybe have this exact conversation. Was it all a dream? It's in my bio on Instagram. I've just had a terrible thought. What if this was all a dream? Like, there's too much going on in this film for me to think it was all just a bloody waste of time. I would not like to think of it that it's all a dream. I would not like to think that there's some, 7-foot stacked Arnold, like just in recall somewhere, like giving it the biggin and having this mad mission. I'd like to think some of this is real. Andy, what do you think? Was it all a dream? Was it all a dream?
No, I've never really thought about it. But when I did watch it again, that did hit me at the end. Where, you're right, the flash to white and all that. Is that just Paul Verhoeven having a wee bit of fun at the end, just to so that we will have that conversation? But I don't think. I think it is narratively what it is.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. But I'm quite sure if you digged into it, you could convincingly create an argument to say that it was all a dream. I mean, you could argue that what happened, it's got that zaniness, that mental zaniness to it. You've got digger things like labyrinth-esque tanks cutting about. You've got the whole scene with the women going blah, 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 and then like splitting it. Like that's
there's mental. A lot going on.
Who thought of that? So there's like, you could argue these are things that you could only dream up. That don't quite add up to reality, which would suggest that maybe it's a dream, but it's too convoluted and too kind of clever in ways narratively to be a dream. I don't think just like when you have an actual dream. You don't have it's 1 minute you're in one place, the next minute you're in a completely different place with no explanation. And that's usually when you wake up because you're like, wait a minute, this isn't making any sense. And then you're like, oh, it's a bloody dream. And then you wake up. But no, I don't think it is. But I think it's interesting to have fun with it. And I think this film very much is a tongue-in-cheek type film. Like I think everyone concerns having fun with it. Like I suggested earlier, there's great themes within the original source novel, which I've not read, but just it's a juicy theme, sci-fi theme, which they don't really delve into the psychology of. It's purely there as a narrative jumping off point. for the kind of sci-fi adventure. But yeah, it's funny, hysterical at times. So yeah, I think it's I think you're supposed to enjoy it for what it is. You know, a kind of fun blockbuster sci-fi action film.
Badger, was it all a dream?
I don't know, and I don't want to know. I don't know. The question is so bloody interesting to me that I just cannot come to a conclusion. I think it's both answers make sense to me, and both answers satisfy me. Even if it was all a dream, I'm satisfied. I don't want to know. I like having both of them possible rather than having both of them definite, because I like both of those answers. So I don't know, and I don't want to know.
You like being in limbo. Limbo works for you.
In this case, absolutely.
Do you know
Either way,
do you know what would have been? I was just thinking. Do you know what would have been quite fucked up if it had flashed like that at the end, and then it's actually revealed that it was a dream, and someone's shaking Arnie, but then they're like, "How's a wake up? You're dreaming."
Oh,
it's not been Douglas Quaid at all. It's been Hauser all the whole time. You're like, oh,
mate, that'd have been a good director's cut, man.
There's a director's cut.
Yeah.
Stick. At the end, it turns out it's been Hauser all along dreaming.
I like that.
And now we don't know where we are with it.
Yes.
That's interesting. That's interesting. I like it.
There you go. There's a director's cut.
Right, guys, I've got one last question for you. Who is the MVP? Who is the most valuable player of this movie? I'll go first. It's a pretty boring answer, but I think it's Arnold. It's got to be. And the reason for that is not his performance or anything like that. We've already went through the vulnerability. He's a great action star and whatnot. But without Arnold, this film does not get made. This does not get made. This script was floating about for so many years, and it was Arnold who had his eyes on it. And it was Arnold who ended up getting Paul Verhoeven on board. He saw RoboCop and was like, Paulie, why did you not put me in the main role of RoboCop? Do you know what I mean? Probably not. But
okay. That one was bad right there. That was bad.
I tried. I failed. But yeah, my MVP of the movie has got to be Arnold with a side tingent of Jerry Goldsmith as well. But Andy? Side portion of Jerry Goldsmith.
Before we go into this, I take it we're going to make our cases here, but there can only be one MVP. So as a collective, we'll have to agree on who the MVP is. Is that what's happening here? Right,
that
so
is exactly what's happening.
As best you can. Right, well, I think it's maybe been foreshadowed because I've spoken about him quite a lot. I think, similar to what you said, Total Movie Recall wouldn't be the weird, zany movie that it is had it not been helmed by Paul Verhoeven. Only Paul Verhoeven can make that film. My evidence that I'll put to the jury here is they did try and remake it in 2011 or whatever it was with Len Wiseman, and they tried to kind of modernise it and probably take the kind of wacky zaniness out it for a modern audience that only Paul Verhoeven could introduce, and it doesn't work. It's bland, it's flat, it's totally forgettable. It's the exact same concept. It's the exact same sci-fi concept. All right, maybe not a stronger cast, but doesn't work. Get Paul Verhoeven in there though. Get squibs going all over the place. Get a little bit of like a little bit of nudity in there, a little bit of like satire, a little bit of sexual humor. Weird things like the big lady that is his disguise. I mean, that's just so weird. That whole scene.
That's in our logo, by the way. Just want to point that out there. I couldn't.
There's a component to it that is missing, like a secret sauce, and that secret sauce is Paul Verhoeven. So that's
squids.
He's my more squibs, Squib City. So he's the secret sauce as far as I'm concerned, and the MVP.
That's fair. Badger, MVP of the movie. Who is it?
Is Alien Romulus a good film, Ellis?
Whoa! We just fucking. That was a sidetrack. We're not here.
No. You answer my questions now. Is it a good film? Answer the question quick.
It fucking is, all right.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going with Andy. Yeah, Paul Verhoeven, man. That guy fucking got the whole thing. He's absolutely the MVP of it. Absolutely. Also, he'd be smart enough, considering he was raised with Alien films, to know that fucking film is kicking the Alien when it's down. But the other thing as well, is that he brought so much of the fucking energy that he brought with RoboCop to this. Is RoboCop in space? And it sounds like a derogatory comment.
It's got that tone. It's got that tone for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I do prefer RoboCop, absolutely, but it doesn't matter. This film fucking kicks ass. Paul Verhoeven absolutely dominated this. I was originally, when I was at the start of this, I was thinking it was going to be Michael Ironside because I'm a big fanboy of him, but no, when I think about it, it really is like there's no one as irreplaceable than him, Paul Verhoeven. Anyone else, even Arnie, even Rob Bottin, they can be replaced. Right. They can be. Not this guy. This is it. This is it. So because of me and Ellis's stupid ass opinions, I'm gonna say that I'm gonna make sure that Andy's right.
I was all ready to give it to Arnie as well if I had to back down, but take nothing away from Arnie. Like it's a 1-2. Like as I also said, he's the perfect partner to what Verhoeven brings because he's also this like kind of like weird European success story who's unique and unusual in his own right. So he suits a Verhoeven toned movie down like perfectly, and he does. You know, you were talking about. I was a bit harsh saying he wasn't a good actor. He is a good actor. He's not like thespian. No. He's never tried to be. But you forget. I was forgetting that there's scenes in it where he plays Hauser, and he is dead charismatic, and he is more like what he's been. So he was nuanced enough that he could ultimately play two very similar characters, but give them enough of a flavour that you believe that that Hauser's definitely a different person compared to Quaid.
Not just different in name. It's more than a name.
Yeah. We're just in a time period where you could make a very basic sort of film in the late 80s, early 90s. You stick Arnie in it, though, on the front cover, and, he elevates the movie, whereas I think the material here is sort of elevating Arnie a little bit, if you get what I mean. But yeah, Andy, I'll give it to you, mate. I'm not the judge here, but I think we can all come to a safe agreement that Alien Romulus is a fucking mint film. Sorry, that Andy's argument is the best, and Paul Verhoeven is the MVP of this movie.
It's got a mint slip cover, Alien Romulus. I love this slip cover. You got it.
Yeah,
the boss in it.
Oh, mate, it shines. It shines. You're missing out, Badge. You're missing out.
Yeah, the tissue I wiped my bum with this morning, I was quite soft too. Well packaged as well.
For fuck's sake.
Can I just quickly say something as well, right?
Yeah.
I was looking at it was nominated for 2 Oscars.
What was the other one?
Nominated for 2 Oscars, man. So best sound, I think it was, and best special effects and sound effects. Right, but what's strange is, do you know what it lost best? Right, it's so effects laden, this movie. Especially if you think about all the animatronics, like the aesthetic stuff, there'll be Matt Payton's and there'll be also, I suppose that comes on the set design stuff, but lots of special effects in this film, right? Do you know what it lost to?
Go on.
Fucking The Hunt for Red October.
What?
I mean, see when I say The Hunt for Red October, does anyone say great special effects?
No, not at all.
I haven't even seen Hunt for Red October yet, but I know enough about it to know that it should not have won. I know enough about it. To compare
Red October beat Total Recall for best effects.
Compared to Total Recall, what the hell is that?
Andy? When was Jurassic Park? Is that 91? Or was that 92?
93. So
yeah,
93. Or probably the 94 Academy Awards. Right, so best effects, best sound effects, editing. 3 nominees: The Hunt for Red October, Flatliners, the original Flatliners.
Joel Schumacher.
I've done it. I'm not again. Total Recall, and Hunt for Red October wins it. Nah, I don't get it. Don't get that one at all.
If there's any justice in the world. Sorry. That is stupid, man.
I just think they were like, we are not giving an Oscar to that pair of Paul Verhoeven and that overgrown chump Arnie. Like when the Oscars was proper posh, like they just can't win. They can't win an Oscar. We can give one to Sean Connery, and that's fine. He's like he's royalty. We're not giving one to Arnie. These 2 weirdos from Europe.
Is there Hunt for Red October Tony Scott as well? Is that a Tony Scott film?
I think you might be right.
No idea.
I'm sure it is. Doesn't mean anything, but I'm just wondering if. I'd obviously be in
John McTiernan.
Oh shit!
Yeah, you're thinking of Crimson Tide.
Yes, yeah, with
That's Tony
Gene
Scott.
Hackman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
There you go.
This is the end of our first episode of our re-reviews. We have been the Total Retalkers, a movie podcast for the best and maybe some of the worst films of the past. But guys, it's been a pleasure. Really enjoyed it. Andy, where can the good folks find you?
You'll find me on YouTube under my alter ego, Electric Geek. So as Ellis said earlier, I cover mainly physical media, some home cinema stuff, movie related stuff, but mainly kind of 4K reviews, unboxings, steelbooks, haul videos, all that kind of thing. So if you're into movies and collecting physical media, watching physical media in the kind of highest quality, watching movies in the highest quality, then you should maybe check out my channel.
Cool, man. Badger, where can the good folks find you?
YouTube, type in Badger Phipps right there. There we go. Type that bad boy in. You'll find me on there. I review movies, video games, and I occasionally post about my voice work and some occasional topics here and there. And I will quickly say as well that Paul Verhoeven, I don't give a damn what anyone says. Hollow Man rocks. I don't care. The whole world can come at me.
Hollow
There's something we agree on, my friend.
Yes,
absolutely. Maybe that's a film for future.
Wait.
Maybe it is.
Wait, you agree with me, Ellis?
Yes.
All right, so Arnie is going to have to be the main MVP of Total Recall, I reckon. Absolutely. I'm going to have to switch right now just to... I'm joking. I'm not that much of a Judas.
No, you can't take it away from me. Listen, I'm happy to split it if you want. I'm happy.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Just like the Oscars with two people accept the award being...
we'll give it Paulie Verhoeven. Give it Paulie Verhoeven. Anyway, guys, you will be able to catch more of us on here. I haven't got a release schedule planned for this yet, but we'll maybe do one of these once a month. We'll try that going forward. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. You'll be able to find some more reviews here. I'm maybe doing a Nosferatu review. We'll see how it will go. I'm not sure yet. But anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This has been the Total Retalkers. We'll catch you later. Bye-bye, guys.
See you at the party, Richter.
See you at the party, Richter. Brilliant. Right. Bye-bye.